It appears Donald Trump's influence over the Republican Party continues to turn formerly pro-Israel senators and congresspeople away from Israel. Pro-Israel senator threatens to cut support over sovereignty plan. Talking about Lindsey Graham. Senator Lindsey Graham warns Israel against annexing Judea and Samaria, says the Jewish state must embrace Palestinian statehood, which is fairly hostile to the state of Israel. Effectively saying, yes, you must accept the state of Palestine within Judea and Samaria. A pro-Israel stalwart in the U.S. Senate warned last week that Israel will lose American support if it applies sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, adding that the Jewish state must ultimately embrace the idea of Palestinian statehood. Tough words from Lindsey Graham. We must accept it. Fascinating. And we'll see shortly why that's so interesting. On Friday, Senator Lindsey Graham joined a Republican Jewish coalition summit in Las Vegas. This is where he gave that statement amongst Jews. I can't understand how they didn't boo him out of this place, but let's take a look. On the sidelines of the event, Graham told the Jerusalem Post that efforts by members of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's ruling coalition government and an opposition party to apply Israeli sovereignty over Judea and Samaria would, if successful, jeopardize American support for Israel. Now, why would that be? Why on earth would that be? Again, if Israel is an ally of the United States, why would it be in America's interest that Israel does not get stronger and bigger? I hear people constantly say that for Israel to be a good ally of America, they must become independent. I hear this all the time from Jews and non-Jews alike. Israel can become independent the bigger they grow and the stronger they grow, right? Because that means money and influence and power. So it seems odd that the United States, let's just say that they wouldn't be promoting or pushing Israel to do this, but that they would warn Israel to not annex Judea and Samaria, seems a little bit strange. A one-state solution, again, the Americans and their solutions. A one-state solution would either end Israel as a Jewish state. Why would that be? Why would that end Israel as a Jewish state? Because he's saying that we would give the Palestinian citizenship? No, that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen. Or leave millions without rights. Or we would just send them to Europe and the United States. Maybe South Carolina. You know, Lindsey Graham seems to be very concerned about the rights of the Palestinians. Maybe we should send them to South Carolina. I wonder if Lindsey would... I wonder how he would explain this to his voters. Which the world will not accept. The world will not accept it. Interesting. Does Lindsey Graham represent the world all of a sudden? Why are we so interested in what the world will accept? And the world accepts a lot of things. The world is ready to accept a nuclear-armed Iran. If it wasn't for Israel, Iran would already have nuclear weapons. So what the world is ready to accept? The world is ready to accept whatever they are told. This is how the world works, Lindsay. To be pro-Israel, you need to be honest with Israel. There it is. There it is. I much prefer an open anti-Semite like Nick Fuentes than I do a lying, conniving schemer like Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is perfectly emblematic of the lying, conniving American. And we'll see after this article, we will see what Lindsey Graham recently has said about a Palestinian state. And we will juxtapose one versus the other. This is how the Americans are. They say one thing and they turn around and say the exact opposite. And they tell you they love you while in the next breath they threaten and extort you. There is no alternative, he said, arguing that annexation would marginalize Israel. Wow, thank you, Lindsay, for looking out for us. Wow. Yes, we just can't figure out our own affairs. Yes, despite the fact that 70% of the Israeli public supports annexation of the West Bank, but Lindsey Graham, all the way from South Carolina, is running to our defense. It would pose more of a threat to the Jewish state's future than any bomb Iran could ever build. Yes, a state of Palestine wouldn't pose a threat. Annexing Judea and Samaria would pose the threat. Not just the deception from the Americans, but the arrogance, the way that they talk down to everyone. It's not just Israel. They can't help it but to talk down to every single person about affairs that they know nothing about. What is it that Lindsey Graham knows about living in the Middle East with Arabs? What is it that he knows? If you want to marginalize the Jewish state, go down that road. Oh, hey, you want to be marginalized? Okay. You would lose support here in America. Okay, Lindsay. You know, somehow we will manage without you. And tomorrow we will do a video that even on only focusing on the semiconductor chip industry would highlight how much value the United States would lose if Israel were to turn to another country. Oh, let's just call them China, for instance. $4 trillion over 10 years. $4 trillion. So before any of you idiots explain to me how America gives Israel $4 billion a year, that would be $400 billion a year that the United States would lose if Israel would partner with China on chip design and manufacture. So guys like Lindsey Graham, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Mike Huckabee, they say, we love Israel. We're doing this for you. Yes, we're doing this for you. We are ramming a state of Palestine down your throat, but it's only for you. The arrogant Americans are forcing Israel down a road that, frankly, I'm eager to go down. I've been explaining to many of my co-religionists and fellow Israelis that there is no future with America. America is a fading empire. They're grasping at straws. They're doing everything they can to curry up to the Muslims because they think that Qatari cash will bail them out. Seeing, I don't know what the American national debt is. It's probably approaching 40 trillion at this point, or maybe more than that. I don't even know. They're a fading empire. And they're doing everything they can to minimize Israel and to push us down, while at the same time saying, no, we're doing it for you. Now, why do I say this about Lindsey Graham, about being a conniver and a backstabber? Let's just take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. Now, when was this? August 28th. That was, let's see, September, October, 2 months and a little. Not even 2.5 months ago. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham holds press conference in Tel Aviv. Now let's see this quote here. During his speech, Graham said, European countries calling for a Palestinian state emboldens Hamas, especially when they don't know what's going to go on there. European countries calling for a Palestinian state emboldens Hamas. What has changed in 2.5 months exactly? What has changed in 2.5 months? He was out there bashing the Europeans for supporting a state of Palestine. Now, not only is Lindsey supporting a state of Palestine, he's telling Israel, you have no choice but to accept the state of Palestine. You see, this is the Americans to a T. Now, I'm going to play a video that's really more incredible, because this is just one quote here. But this video is really amazing. Let me see if I could fit Lindsey's head into this shot. Let's see if I can get this here. Let's play.
Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people who would kill them all if they could. I am tired.
And that's why Lindsay wants to give them a Palestinian state. Got it.
Tired of the word genocide. Let me tell you about genocide. If Israel wanted to commit genocide, they could. They have the capability to do that. They choose not to. Hamas, they would commit genocide in 30 seconds. They just can't. And that's the big difference, folks. Israel is our friend. They're the most reliable friend we have in the Mideast. They're a democracy, surrounded by people who would cut their throats if they could.
And yet, Lindsay would give these people that he's describing, the ones that would cut our throats if they could, Lindsay wants to give them a state in Judea and Samaria, in the heartland of the state of Israel. America, America.
This is not a hard choice if you're an American. It's not a hard choice if you're a Christian. A word of warning. If America pulls the plug on Israel, God will pull the plug on us.
That is true, but sadly, Lindsay is obviously speaking to a Christian group here, and he's just saying a bunch of words that he knows that they will like. Now, Lindsay has correctly said that if America, or anybody, frankly, goes against the people of Israel, God will pull the plug on them. That's true. That is true. That has always been historically true. The Europeans turned on the Jews, and God has absolutely ravaged Europe. Europe doesn't even look European anymore. It looks African and Muslim. And that's God. That's God. Now, America wants to turn on Israel as well. Good luck to America. Because now the heathens, they believe that, oh, it's the Mossad, it's Jewish secret groups doing all this stuff. No, it isn't. Again, if you're a heathen, you don't understand this, but that's the God of Israel. That's the God of Israel. The God of Israel settles our scores for us. Now, Lindsay's saying, well, if you turn on Israel, God will pull the plug on you. And yet, Lindsay's out there saying, well, Israel has to accept the state of Palestine. They have to, despite the fact that this is land that God has given the Jewish people. He doesn't care. Lindsey Graham doesn't care. He's out there threatening Israel and telling Israel, you better do this, you better do that. So again, every word that comes out of the mouth of an American is worth nothing. It's worth zero. No, we have Zionist friends in the United States. No, we don't. No, we don't. They're double-talking, two-faced, backstabbing liars. Pretty much. Because people would have told me, Lindsey Graham, 2 months ago, oh, he's one of our greatest allies. So now we see that that's nonsense. It's total nonsense. As the days roll by, it's just becoming more and more obvious. And to be frank, I'm actually happy that we're finding this out. The sooner we find these things out, the better. And like I said, we don't have to worry about allies, and here is why. Because we have value. Israel has a lot of value, and like I said, we're going to break that down tomorrow. Israel has value that China would get on their knees and beg for. Value that the United States today takes for granted. They take advantage. They talk in an arrogant tone. They talk down to us as if we are enslaved to them. We have no other options, and it's totally and completely wrong. And soon, the Israeli public will understand what our options are, and they will clamor for us to leave the United States. Maybe it's China, maybe it's India, maybe it's working with Russia, who knows? There are plenty of alternatives out there. Countries that respect their national heritage and culture. The United States doesn't. The United States is a diversity freak show that does not value their own culture, does not value their own heritage. With them, it's only about money. That's all they care about. We have nothing in common with the Americans. That's the truth. We have far more in common with the Chinese. We have far more in common with the Russians. So let's just play the rest of Lindsay just droning on here. But he is right about this point. You pull the plug on Israel, God pulls the plug on you. Lindsay should take this to heart right now, because it seems like he's pretty much just saying, yeah, Israel has to do what I say, what Donald Trump says. I'm sorry, Lindsay, that's not how it works. You are not stronger than the God of Israel, and soon enough, you'll all find out. You'll all find out.
And we're not going to let that happen. So I just want to end with this thought that President Trump has stood with Israel at the most difficult time since its founding.
Donald Trump is the king of the backstabbing liars. Donald Trump has not stood with Israel. Donald Trump has stood with Qatar and with the people of Gaza.
October the 7th was an effort to destroy the state of Israel, the largest loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust. And here we...
And, you know, I don't even want to go through the rest, because this guy's just... He's just honestly a sleazy politician. But let's just say this. How did October 7th happen? How did it happen? People are going to say, oh, well, the IDF wasn't prepared. Wrong. Wrong. It happened because Israel disengaged from Gaza in 2005. Because the Americans, just like now, told Israel, look, we're doing this for your benefit. We're doing this for your benefit. What did Lindsey Graham say? He said here, let's see. Right, that here, if we were to annex Gaza, right, it would either end Israel as a Jewish state because you would have to give the Gazan citizenship, or it would leave millions of, in that case, Gazans without rights, which the world will not accept. So they told us the same garbage back in 2005, and then also twisted our arm to force us to disengage from Gaza. Fast forward 18 years later, and we get the massacre of October 7th. And that's what Lindsey Graham and the Americans are trying to set up in the West Bank as well, in Judea and Samaria. Same thing, we're doing it for you, this is good for you, you have to accept it. Fast forward X amount of years, there'll be another massacre brought to us by our American allies and our American friends. So again, we have seen enough, we've heard enough from the Americans. We're not interested in their peace schemes. We're not interested in any of this. We have value. We have value that other countries cannot provide. That's right. This is not about friendship and what the world will accept. The world will accept what they are given. That's how it works. That's all. And when Israel partners with a country that actually values what they bring to the table, we won't have to listen to this garbage anymore. We're not interested in this American drivel driving Israel to last place. We're not interested in Israel last. We're interested in Israel first, in greater Israel, in an expansionist Israel. The rest of the world doesn't like it. They can pound sand. We here in Israel don't give a damn what the world likes and what they don't. This land is ours. It was given to us by the creator of heaven and earth. And you don't accept it? Well, that's too bad for you. This land is ours, and we won't let you steal it from us.